Hello everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how to upload image in Rich Text Editor because I get a lot of comment, right, that asking me how to do image upload in this Rich Text Editor. Basically I get a lot of view from this video, how to build Rich Text Editor in Next.js using Tiptap, right? So I'm going to show you also how to do with database. We are going to use Prisma, right? And then as you can see, this is the project, just really simple. As you can see, maybe you see this video is not too much long because I'm going to use template, right? But the beauty about this template is, as you can see, everything is just available. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and then as you can see here, bullet list, right? Everything is just works. This one right here, code block, and then block quote, right? I'm going to block this one, and then using block quote code right here, and I can change that to block quote as well, right? Nice. I can do like highlight here if I want, right? Red color, etc. So anyway, everything is in here is just works, right? The beauty is I'm gonna show you how to add image as well. So let's try to upload image. For example, down here, I'm going to upload image, right? I'm gonna upload image in UploadThing basically. So as you can see on UploadThing, now it's empty, right? And then on the Prisma database, it's also empty. Now I'm going to upload this image right here. I'm going to drag and drop like this. And then as you can see, it's loading and then bam. The image, it should be rendered right here. That's pretty cool. And then now we should see the data right here. If I refresh, right here, right? This is the data, the image, right? I can go back in here and try to save the post. As you can see, we have this error. The reason is because I'm not put the title of this block. So let's try to put, this is title 1, right? And then I'm going to save the post. Here we go. So now we on the detail of the block. This is pretty cool. We have the image, we have all the things right here, the styling, everything is just apply. I can go back in here and basically this is the list, the block that I write. We are going to use template from the Tiptap documentation. As you can see, this is the template simple editor MIT license. That means this is free, so you can using that on your project. Definitely you have to try this beautiful simple editor right here because this is really simple to implement. I'm going to show you how to customize it and etc. I hope this video not going to be too long, so let's get started. Alright, so let's generate a brand new Next.js application. I'm going to call that template block Tiptap. So let's hit enter and I'm going to say yes for that. This basically create Next app version 16. And the beauty now is we can just use this arrow right here to select the recommended default. That means we can use TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind CSS, App Router, and TurboPack. That's what I'm going to use. Great. So now let's cd to the template block Tiptap folder and open that in Visual Studio Code. So now we need to install the Tiptap template editor, this one right here. So let's take a look how we can install it. As you can see, if you do existing project like we're doing so far right here, we can do this command right here. If you want to build a new project, you can use this one right here. So I'm going to copy this one. All right, just copy it and then paste that to terminal. Just hit enter. Of course, I'm going to say yes, hit enter. As you can see, we have this question, what are Tiptap UI component, React UI component that help you develop an editor and etc. This is basically will create some component. So I'm going to hit enter. All right, as you can see, now it's done, right? We have some code right here. And then as you can see, now we have to add this code right here into the global.css file. So I'm going to copy that and then go to app and then go to the, where's the global.css file? We don't yet have that because, oh, this one right here. All right, I'm going to paste that. Here we go. Cool. So we have that styling. Anyway, if I'm not using this styling, let me show you how this is look like. I'm going to run npm run dev. As you can see, now we have this simple page, right? And then this is the page.tsx look like. As you can see, this basically just render the simple editor component, right? So let's first go back to the browser and I'm going to open the localhost 3000/simple, right? So this should be render the rich text editor. As you can see, it's look like this, but there is no styling in here because we not put the styling. Just make sure you put this import style right here, right? Just paste that, and then as you can see, all the styling will apply, right? This styling right here, the color, and etc. So that's pretty nice. We have this rich text editor right now. That's super cool. And as you can see, the light mode, the dark mode, it just works out of the box. That is crazy, right? As you can see here, I can just block this one, and I'm gonna put that on the center. As you can see, everything it just works, right? Everything is just works out of the box. Super cool. So now let's take a look how the code look like, right? So I'm gonna go back to VS Code and open the simple editor component. As you can see, this is the simple editor component. And basically, in this template rich text editor, we have a lot of features like, let me just scroll down here. We have the responsive design, we have the dark and light mode, we have formatting like a bold, italic, and underline, we have list, text alignment, and etc. That's a lot of features. Let's go back on the simple editor, and as you can see, this is the important part basically. Editor set equals to use editor. This should become from the Tiptap/React. I already covered how to do this in my previous video. I'm gonna put a link on the description. So basically how to create really simple rich text editor. As you can see, it should be using a starter kit, right? And then we have this horizontal rule, text align, and etc. Image, typography, and etc. And this is the image upload node. So this is basically the configuration of the image. As you can see, it just accepts for the image, all image with any extension, and the maximal size, it should be this max file size. Let's take a look. Max file size, it should be 5 megabyte by default, right? And then we have the limit is 3, the upload should be running this function. That means if I click upload, it should be running the handle image upload, this function right here, right? And we are going to back on this function later to basically configure the upload things to upload image, right? So at least now we have this beautiful rich text editor, and this is works, right? So now I'm going to show you how to integrate all of this with Prisma and database, so we can see how basically to save data and to push data on the database as well. So let's first install the Prisma, right? So anyway, I'm going to open my blog right here on Medium, and then let's see how we can install Prisma. So I'm going to copy this npm install Prisma, right? All right, it's done. So I'm going to close everything here. And then the next thing is we need to initialize the Prisma. I'm going to make it bigger. Copy this npx Prisma init command, paste that, and hit enter. And now it should be create the Prisma folder for us. All right, it's done. So let's take a look here. We have the Prisma folders and then schema.prisma file. And of course, we have this environment variable as well, right? And now I'm going to go back to schema.prisma, and I'm going to create one model for now. This is just for example. As you can see, I create model called post that have an ID, and then that have title, and that have content, right? Content is basically just text, and then created add. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the environment variable. So let's go back in here, and I'm going to copy all of this, copy that, and just paste that right here, just like this. I'm going to make sure my PostgreSQL is running like this. As you can see, PostgreSQL 15. And then the user, it should be Postgres by default. And the password is random password. And then the database, I'm going to say template block db, or just whatever the name you want, right? This is the database URL. And now what we have to do is we need to run npx prisma generate, and then we need to run npx prisma db push. Anyway, we have this error. It say like fail to load config, require environment variable. So let's take a look here. Anyway, there is one file called prisma.config.ts. Let's take a look on this block right here, right? The update Prisma version 5.16 plus, as you can see here, the Prisma should be, where is that Prisma? I'm going to search that Prisma. It's version 6.16, right? And in this version, environment variable is not automatically load, right? So we have to install the .env package. So I'm going to copy and paste that here. Just paste and hit enter. Now what we have to do is we need to just import the .env/config on the prisma.config in here. Just make sure you're putting that on the top, just like this. And now it should be works, I believe. So we can running npx prisma generate, hit enter. And now the database URL, it should be available. As you can see, it works. We can do npx prisma db push, hit enter. And then as you can see, we have this error. The reason is prisma config detected. Environment variable loading. User was denied access to the database. I'm not sure. So let's try to take a look here. It should be Postgres, right? My bad. So let's try to do that again. npx prisma db push. So now, as you can see, it's successful. The next thing what we have to do is we need to just check on the Prisma Studio. So we can running npx prisma studio. It should be open localhost 5555, and we have this post right here. And the data, it should be empty for now, right? That's pretty cool. It works. So the next thing is what we have to do is I'm going to create the UI on the page right here. So anyway, I'm going to remove the simple page right here. I'm going to remove that, delete it. And now let's go to page.tsx right here. I'm going to just remove every div in here. And then now what we have to do is just try to working with the UI stuff. So first I'm going to add this class name here, right? The maximal width is 5xl, mx is auto to put all this div into the center, and the padding is 8. And also I want to put the heading one here like that. And then if I run npm run dev, it should be just heading one with create post text. Let's open it. And then as you can see, we have this create post, right? So now we have to create a form, right? And then inside the form, we need to render that rich text editor. So I'm going to do form like this. You don't need the action. So I'm going to put this on submit and then class name. So basically we don't yet have this handle submit function. So let's create the function on the top. Const handle submit function that equals to an arrow function. Just like this for now is fine. So inside the form, basically, I'm going to create like an input. The input, it should become from the setcn. So first I'm going to install the setcn. So we can do npx setcn add lattice and then init. This basically to initialize the setcn. I hope you already know what is setcn, but if you're not, just using normal input is fine. So let me just hit enter, and then everything it should be fine right now. As you can see here, we have the component.json file. That means this is successful. Great. So now I'm going to say npx setcn add lattice, add label, input, and button components. So let's hit enter. All right, great. So now here I'm going to render the input component from the component UI/input. If I save that, let's try to run it again, npm run dev. As you can see, we have this error. The reason is because we're running on submit on the page.tsx, right? This is event handler. So if we want to use that, we have to change the component to the client component like this. And now, as you can see, we have this beautiful input from the setcn UI. That's pretty cool. So now I'm going to render also the rich text editor. So here under that, I'm going to put div and then just render the simple editor like this. Save and let's take a look. I'm going to refresh, and as you can see, it's look like this, right? It's not perfect yet, but we're going to fix that. Just don't worry. So here I'm going to add class name to the border and rounded large. So we should see this rounded right here, right? But why the styling look like this? So anyway, on the simple editor, there is a CSS right here, SCSS, right? If you take a look, let me see. We have this class name, simple editor wrapper, and we have this simple editor content, right? So that you can check all the styling on the simple-editor.scss right here. As you can see, this is the simple editor wrapper. This is the width, right? So if I comment that width like this, and as you can see, now the width is just 100%, not 100 view width, but 100%. So that's why we have everything look like this. And I think this is fine, right? If you take a look this maximal width as well, you can just comment that if you want. If I add that, for example, like I just try 400 pixel, as you can see, this is the result. If I do like 100 pixel, as you can see, this is the result, right? You get the idea. This is the content, which is everything that you can typing, right? I'm gonna make sure that I setting that to, as you can see, if I do 648, that means we have space in here. So if I comment that, as you can see, it's more, that means the padding is just removed, right? That's what I want. It's looking great right now. So let's take a look. If I block this one and change that to like an italic, streak, everything is works, right? I do underline, it works. That's pretty cool. The rich text editor is rendered really nicely. And the next thing is I'm going to also render a button in here to save the block basically. So let's go back. I'm going to render this div that have display flex and then gap is 4. And inside here I have 2 button, right? Like a button. So basically this button should become from the component UI button. And then inside that I'm going to say save pose like this. And also we have another button. I'm going to call that view pose. And then let's take a look at the result. Here we go, right? The type, it should be button. And also I'm going to change the variant into outline. Here we go. So let's take a look. We have the outline button. That's nice. And then for the save post, I'm going to change that type here into the submit. Let me do type to submit. That means if I click the save post, this will be running the handle submit button. If I run the button right here, it's not running the handle submit because the type is button, right? I hope you understand what is that. Just console log hello, just try to see this is working. Save that. Let's take a look on the inspect. As you can see, I open the console, and then if I click view post, as you can see, nothing happened. If I click save post, we have this hello, but now it's reload. The reason is because I'm not put the prevent default on the handle submit. So I think first I'm gonna change the function to the async function, and then I grab the event in here. The event, it should be have type form event like this, and now we can just prevent default the form. You can say e.prevent default like this. Now the form is not gonna be reload every time I click the save post. As you can see, it works. So now the question is how we can get the value, the title value, right? And also the editor value right here, the title and also the content here. So I'm gonna store all that value on the state basically. I'm gonna create title and also the editor state. First, let's just import the use state, right? The editor, it should be typed from the Tiptap. So I'm going to import it. We could not import that. I'm not sure why. So let's just try to do that manually. I'm going to paste that on the top right here. Import type editor from @tiptap/react. Here we go. So now you have title and editor state. So now let's putting that title on the input, this one right here. So anyway, I'm gonna paste this placeholder post title. The value it should be come from the title state, and the on change right here to put the value on the state. And also the class name is textxl. So let's take a look here. We have the post title, and as you can see, I can typing the input title field right here. So now let's working with the simple editor component. I'm gonna send this on editor ready props and set equals to set editor. So set editor is basically state in here, right? And now I'm gonna console log this editor when I submit the form, editor.getHTML. This is basically will be console log the editor here. That means the value here, all this value on the HTML format. So now let's go back to the simple editor component, and we're going to get that props. So first I'm gonna create the interface, right? The interface, I'm gonna give name simple editor props that have this on editor ready, right? This is just optional like that. I'm gonna import the type of the editor here, and then just make sure I put the interface like this. And then let's grab the on editor ready like that. Here we go. So now what we have to do is we need to send the editor here into the on editor ready. So every time the editor change, I want to also send that changes into the on editor ready, so we can grab that value on this state right here and we can see the value on the console. So let's try here. I'm gonna running that on the use effect basically down here. So I'm gonna paste this use effect. As you can see, this use effect, it should be running every time the editor is changed and every time we have the on editor ready. So if we don't have the on editor ready props, it's not gonna be run, right? And also if we don't have any editor value, it's not gonna be run. So now let's take a look here. I'm going to just typing whatever I want, like just random things. So now let's try to hit enter save post right here. As you can see here on the console, we have the HTML format. As you can see, we have the heading one, right? We have the p tag random things right here, right? That means it's successful. Great job. So now we need to create API to basically make a post request so we can put the data on the database, right? So let's try to just close everything here. On the app folder, I'm gonna create folder called API/post like this, and inside that I'm gonna create root.ts file. And then anyway, I just want to paste this really simple right here, right? The Prisma, oh, we don't yet create the Prisma client anyway, my bad. So let's go back to the lib here and I'm gonna create Prisma folder, Prisma.ts file, I mean. And then we can just go back to my blog right here and just copy this code, just paste that. This basically just initialize the Prisma. As you can see, the Prisma client, it should become from the generated Prisma/client. This is basically come from this one right here, right? And then you can just check that out on the Prisma schema right here, right? This is the location, the output of the Prisma client. Great job. So now we need to just import the Prisma, come from lib/Prisma. And then as you can see, on the API/post, we can make a get request. Here I wait for the Prisma.post, find many, we get all the data, and then just order by created at and just return next response JSON the post. Really simple. And then this is for create post. As you can see, the function is post. That means we can make a post request. Here we grab the title, we grab the content from the request.json. That means if I make a post request, I should send title and content as a body, right? And if there's no title, if there's no content, put this error. And then finally, add this data. Post set equals to await for Prisma.post create data title set equals to title, content set equals to content. So this basically will put the data on the database and just make that as a response as well, right? Really simple. Let's go back to the page.tsx. And here, basically, we are going to make a post request. So first, of course, on the client side, I also like to have condition here, right? If the title is empty or if the editor is empty, just put this alert right here. Super simple. And also I like to create another state in here to show the loading that I'm gonna call that saving, right? Saving by default is false. So before I make a try and catch, I like to make sure that the saving it should be true. And then finally down here, I make a try and catch. This is the way I make a post request on the API. So what I'm gonna do, const res equals to await for the fetch, right? And then in here, I'm gonna put the API/post. And then just make sure we also send the method that we are gonna use. It should be post method. And then we are gonna send the header. It should be content type application JSON. And then I'm gonna send also the body, right? The body should be title and also content. I want to make sure everything should be inside the JSON stringify. As you can see, I send title as a title from the state. And then content, it should be editor.getHTML. It's come from here, right? Cool, so we have that. And then now what we have to do is we need to make sure that I throw error if the response is not okay. So here, I'm going to add this condition. If response is not okay, throw this error, failed to save. And then finally, I'm going to push user into the post/id. So we're going to use a router dot push slash post slash the post ID, right? So we need to create the router variable on the top right here. Let's do cons router set equals to use router from the next navigation like this. So the use router is useful for if you want to push user to another route or another page. So in this case, I push user to the post slash whatever the ID of the post. Right. So if something wrong happened, let's grab the error here. So I'm going to just alert failed to save post. And then finally, what I'm going to do is set the saving back to false. And also I want to make sure I use the saving props on the button here. I'm going to make sure the button should be disabled if the saving is true. That means if the saving true, I cannot click this button here like a 1,000 times, right? And also I'm going to make sure the text it should be based on the saving value. If the saving is true, using this saving with 3 dot, else using this save post, just like that. And also this view post, it should be push user into the post page. So that's why I'm going to run on click so equals to router.push slash post like that. So let's take a look here. If I click the view post, now we're on the slash post, right? It works. Now let's try to create the one post. But first I want to make sure I also open the Prisma Studio to check the data on the database. So we can see the data right here. Let's take a look. Here I'm going to say title 1, right? Content 1. Maybe I'm going to change that color to like a red color or something like that. This one here. Okay, cool. So anyway, this is default value, right? I'm going to show you where is the file and how to just delete that. Anyway, now let's click save post, saving. And now as you can see, we have this error, failed to save post. And the error say like module not found, cannot resolve a Prisma client. So I think we have to also install the Prisma client. I just forgot that, I believe. So let's scroll up and we need to install this Prisma client, I think. Let's try to run npm install add Prisma client. All right, great. So now I just want to reload the window of VS Code just to make sure everything should be clean. And then I'm gonna run npm run dev again. Let's try to see. Hopefully now it should be works. As you can see, it's still empty. And then now let's try to create a new post, right? I'm gonna change this to content 1, and then I'm gonna change the color to red color. And then what else? The title, title 1. So now let's try to click save post. And then here we go. Now we on the post slash post ID. That means it successfully create data on the database. If you go to Prisma Studio, if I refresh, as you can see, we have the post right here. All right, the title and the content is basically HTML, right? This is the content right here. That's pretty nice. It's successful. Now what we have to do is we need to render the content on the detail page right here, right? So let's first create the detail page. I'm gonna go to app right here and then go to a folder called post slash whatever the ID, right? I'm gonna use ID, and then inside that I'm gonna create page.tsx like this. So now we can do RFC and just give any name you want, like post page like this. So if I save that, now we should see post page right here. Cool. So now we can grab the ID using these params, right? Params, and then the type it should be promise. And now I can just grab the ID. So I can say like cons ID is equals to await params, but make sure this function here, it should be async function like that. And now you can just console log the ID to show the ID on the console. Let's take a look. I'm going to inspect that and then go to console. As you can see here, we should see this ID, right? That's nice. We get the ID, and now we have to basically get the data on the database using Prisma and show the data on the browser. Super simple. So first I'm gonna check if there's no ID, right? If there's no ID, I'm gonna render this div that say invalid post ID. And also the next thing is I'm going to make a get on the Prisma. As you can see here, I'm running Prisma.post find unique, where the ID is equal to ID come from the params. And then here we should see the post data. And then first I'm gonna make sure that if there's no post, render the node found component come from the next navigation like this. Great, so we have the post, right? So I'm gonna just styling this a little bit. I'm gonna do like a div with class name, maximal width for XL, MX auto, and padding to 8. And also here, I'm gonna create a link and button to make a user back basically. Link come from the next link, button come from the component/UI button. And as you can see, we have this back button. That's nice. And then under that, I'm going to render everything, all the content inside the article tag. And then I'm gonna put class name into this border, rounded large and padding to 8. And then I'm gonna render also the title right here inside the heading one. So heading one set equals to this post title, right? This is the styling, super simple. And as you can see, we have this title, right? Cool. So now how to render the content. But before that, we need to render the date basically. So I'm gonna put p tag here, right? The class name tag small and etc. And this is basically the post.created@. And this is the result. Cool. So now the important thing is the content. So anyway, I like to create another component. You can use the component here, come from the Tiptap template /simple editor. You can use this component, but I just like to create another component. So I'm gonna give a name read-only editor. I also want to create that on the simple folder here. I think it's fine. Read-only editor.tsx, and I'm gonna do rfc. I'm gonna change the component to read-only editor like this, and now you can just import that component to the detail of the post, right? So here I'm gonna say read-only editor like that. If I save that, now we should see this read-only editor. Nice. Anyway, what I'm gonna do now is I think we can just copy and paste come from here if you want, right? All the editor here, you can just copy everything like this. You can just copy that and just paste that right here. And also what the thing that we need to render on this div is basically really similar. That's why we can use this component, but I like to create another component. So we need to just render this editor content basically, and just putting that right here, right? So now what we have to do is just try to import everything that we need. So let's scroll up and then let's just import anything that we need in here. As you can see, even all the styling, just make sure you follow on the simple editor here. As you can see, it's also import all the styling, right? Cool. And then basically we can just delete something that we don't really want, like the editor props in here. It doesn't really matter on view, so I'm going to just remove that. And also I'm going to just render the editable to false, right? Because this is just for view only. And for the extension here, I just want to put the starter kit. So that's why I'm going to remove all the configure here. I'm going to remove that, just put starter kit like this. And also the horizontal rule, I'm going to remove that because this is just for view. I think it's fine to not using horizontal rule. And also for the image upload node, I'm going to also remove that. And then the selection, we don't need that. And for the content, it should come from the props basically, because as you can see here, we should send the content. The content should come from the post right here, post.content. So here, let's grab that content as a props. So I think we're just putting that in here. As you can see, the content, it should be string, right? And content set equals to content, right? So of course you can add anything you want in this div in here, but I think for now I just want to render just for the edit content, right? And then the role here, I'm going to remove that, right? Just the editor and class name for now. I think it's fine. So let's take a look at the result. Here, as you can see, we have this error. The reason is because this is server component. And then we have to change this component to the client component. So let's do that. Use client like this, save that, and then magic will be happen right now, but it's not render because the reason is because we not send the content on the read-only editor props. So let's try to send the content set equals to post.content. So now, as you can see, we should see that beautiful content right here, right? With all the styling. That is just beautiful. It is working. So let's take a look what happened if I click back. It should be go to the post, right? We don't yet have a post page. So let's do on the post right here. I'm going to create file called page.tsx like this. So anyway, the post page is just really simple. So that's why I just want to copy and paste like this. As you can see, what happened in here is we just wait for the prisma.post.find many. Just basically get all the posts that are available on the database. And then it just render that in here. As you can see, post.map, just render that inside the link. So if I click that, it should be go to the post slash whatever the ID. And then on the top, I create a button to create a post. As you can see here, like that, right? This is the result. That's pretty nice, right? So let's try to click create post. And what happened with this default value here? Anyway, you can just remove that default value if you want. Here, you can go to the simple editor, right? And then just scroll down, you will see the content. Let me just scroll down. Where is the content? This one right here, right? Just go to content. Where is the content? This one, right? The content, it should become from this file right here. Content from component, tiptap template, simple data, content.json file. If you open that, this is the content look like. As you can see, this is doc that have this content heading, right? Paragraph that have this paragraph as well. And then block quote and etc. Of course, you can just remove that. Just comment that if you want. So now let's go back to the content of the use editor, and then you can just put empty string for now for the default value. You can just do that. Here, if as you can see, if I refresh, of course, now this is just an empty. If you want, you can just put like anything you want in here, like a maybe div hello world, right? Save that, and then if you refresh it, as you can see, we have hello world. But anyway, you can just do whatever you want. For now, I think empty string is fine, or just put the default value just for UI things. So it's look better if we have like a example of the content, right? So that's why I just want to put the content is fine. So we have the beautiful things in here, like how to create these text box and etc. Right? I think it's fine for now. So now we forget the important part, which is the upload file, right? The upload image functionality. So let's try to go back to UploadThings right now, and then go to the docs. And then here, let's click the Next.js App Router. And then, yep, we need to install the package right here. Let's try to just close everything on the top right here. And then now I'm going to just install the npm install UploadThings and add UploadThings/React. So let's take a look. What the next thing we have to do is put the UploadThing token on the environment variable. So let's go to dashboard, and then you can just generate your own new app in here if you want. You can do like personal theme, and then the app name is template block. And then you can just select whatever you want, right? Free, paid, and this one right here. For the free version, you have 2 GB file storage. I'm gonna click create app. And here we go. As you can see, congratulations, you got place to store file. And then we can go to API keys, and then this is the UploadThings token. I'm gonna copy that, and then just go to the environment variable, and then just paste that like this. And now we're good to go. Let's take a look. What the next thing we have to do? is, let me go back to docs again, and then app router. After we get the UploadThing token, we have to, let's take a look, create the UploadThing score.ts file. So I'm going to copy this one and then go back to API folder. And then inside the API, I'm going to create this UploadThing/core.ts file, right? And then what we have to do now is just copy everything, paste that like that. And then now what we have to do is just check what is this. So I think I just want to remove all the comment, right? I just remove all the comment here. If you want to add authentication, that means user should be authenticate before make a post. You have to put middleware in here, right? But for now, it's fine to not using middleware, to not using authentication, right? If you want to see how to use authentication with better auth before upload file, I already have video about that. I'm gonna put link on the description. So now I'm gonna remove that, and the maximal file size, as you can see here, we have all this option like 4 megabyte, and then let's take a look. We have, I think for 4 megabyte is fine, and the maximal file count, I'm gonna remove that. And also I'm gonna remove all of this and try to just return the URL. So I'm gonna say like return, and then here I'm gonna say object URL into the file dot ufs URL. Yep. And the metadata is just basically everything you return on the middleware. It should be available on the metadata. But for now, I think I just want to remove that. All right, just remove it like this. This is our file router that we are going to use that on the road, basically on the UploadThing road. Let's go back to UploadThing's documentation. Let's take a look. The next thing is we have to create road.ts file on the same level with the core file like this. And now I'm going to copy everything and just paste that like this, right? Just remove all the comment. Here we go. I think now it's fine. As you can see, we can make a get request and post request. And this is basically running create route handler and paste the router from the our file router come from the core file. So what we have to do next is let's try to go back on the docs. And as you can see here, we need to create uploadthings.ts file. I'm going to putting that on the lib folder, right? Just paste that uploadthings.ts file and just try to copy and paste this, right? And our file router, it should be come from the, I'm just want to paste that like this. As you can see, come from this right here. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to export the upload files function. So I just want to paste that right here. Export const upload files from the generate React helper, just like this. So now we are going to use the upload files in here, right? That's all the setup for the upload things. So now let's take a look where the function that running if I upload file. For example, let me try to reload this one. Oh yeah, I have to running the npm run dev again. And now if I upload file, what is running? Let's take a look on the simple editor. And basically in here, there is a function, I believe, when I upload file. As you can see, image upload node. This basically will running the handle image upload. So this is the function that we are going to working on. Anyway, let's try to go back here, and then I'm going to refresh, right? And then try to upload right now. And for now, it's not going to do anything because this is just will return this image file, right? By default. So let's try. I'm going to refresh that just to make sure there's no error. I'm going to add file. As you can see, I can still drag and drop, and this loading is basically create in here, right? And then as you can see, it just render the image, but the image here is not available for now. So that's why it's not render. So anyway, let's try to working with this function. And I think I'm going to remove all of this for now. So what we have to do first is if I cancel before the upload complete, I'm going to do through this error, right? Is abort signal.aborted through new error upload cancel. Great. And then here I'm going to say try and catch the error. So inside the try, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable called uploaded set equals to await for the upload files, right? The upload file is basically function come from the upload things right here, right? And then in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the image uploader, and then I'm going to put this object, and then for the files, I'm going to specify it should be come from the file in here, right? The file come from the props, and then I'm going to send another things, which is the on upload progress. And in here, basically, I'm going to run function, right? And it should be running this function right here, on progress function, like this. And then I'm going to put the progress equals to progress. So anyway, the progress here, it should become from the parameters of the function, like this. And as you can see, we have some TypeScript error here because on progress is basically optional. So I just want to add this condition in here. So that means if the on progress have a value, just running this. That's it. And then of course, I'm going to check that in here, if the uploaded is empty, I'm going to throw this error, right? If the uploaded first value is empty, I'm going to throw new error upload failed. And then in here, after that, I'm going to run the on progress, right? And I'm going to put the progress into 100% like this. And then also, I'm going to return the uploaded, let's say uploaded, and then I'm going to basically return the URL after I successfully put the file on the UploadThings. I should get the URL, right? So I'm going to return that URL in here. So grab the first value and then grab the UFS URL like this. And also, if something wrong happened, I just want to check that right here. If the upboard signal.upboarded is true, I'm going to throw this error upload cancel, and also throw this error right here come from the catch. So I think that's it for the function right here, handle upload function. Now let's try to upload the file, right? As you can see on the UploadThings in here, just make sure I go to template blocks, and now there's no file, right? And on the Prisma Studio here, I just have one post, right? There's no image in this content basically. But let's try to add image. I'm going to put the image under the MIT license, MIT text in here. I'm going to put this image right here, right? As you can see, we should see this loading. That's beautiful. And we have this image. It just render, right? And now if I go back to UploadThings and refresh it, you should see this image right here, right? And also now let's try to just click the save post. If I click that, as you can see, we have this error. The reason is we not put the title. So I'm going to say title 2 and change the content here to like content to, I put maybe quote in here, something like that. I'm not sure. Let's just putting that like this, and then maybe list 1 or etc. I just want to put the list right here, right? We have list 1, list 2, 3, 4, 5, and etc. So anyway, as you can see, all of this, it just works. So now let's try to click save post, and then it's successful. As you can see, now we on the post detail, and as you can see, everything is just rendered, right? Even this image as well. That is pretty cool. I can go back in here, and as you can see, we have the title 1 without image, title 2 with the image, right? It works basically. So I think that's it, guys, for this video. I hope you can implement the simple template rich text editor in here to your next blog application, and you can implement the upload image as well using the UploadThings, right? I hope this video useful. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next video. Bye bye.